Let's continue on and learn more about scripting and specifically what exactly functions are and how they help us. Let's open up our script once again and let's get rid of these lines of code right here. Now, when we first created our script, it already said a function which was called update, but of course you can also make your own. When I type function, you will notice that the word will change in a different color. And then I can name my function my first function. After that, I use these same brackets again, and then I have defined my function. Now here's a couple things to note. Your function ends with these brackets, and then these define the code that consists of this function. Let me explain to you what I mean. If I start adding lines of code here, for example, define a variable, and this variable is now part of this function. When the computer starts, he starts calculating from the top and then goes down to the bottom. So what it finds is it finds the function, but the function is not being called by anything, so this whole section of code is being skipped. Okay? Now as you can see, I've defined a new variable type that you might not know yet, and I set it to true. This is called a Boolean variable, and Booleans can either be true or false. You can also use 0 or 1, which would also work as a Boolean, but it's easier to just use true or false. Now, when I want to use my function, I simply have to call it this way, my first function, and then our semicolon. Notice that the semicolon is not defined at the end of our function definition, because this doesn't stop here, it goes on with the brackets, and the brackets will close it by themselves. If you're missing brackets, then Unity is going to give you some scripting errors. Also, if you're missing semicolons, Unity is going to give you some scripting errors. Okay, now let's go back to our bank account example. Let's type var bank account equals 1000. We just made a number. The number is a bank account variable and it's 1000. Now let's type a function spend 100 bucks. Okay, so this function will spend $100 for us. Okay, now this function needs to have a variable, so let's define that here and say number. Now we can use number equals number minus 100, and our number has been subtracted. Last but not least, we can return number. Now let me explain exactly what this does. As soon as I type the command to run our function, which would look something like this, spend 100 bucks bank account, it sends the bank account variable to our function here. We don't know the exact name of what is going to be sent to us when we define the function, so within the function we'll just use the name number. Now that this is sent to us, we can subtract 100 from our number and then return the number so that our function returns the value of the number that we've subtracted 100 from. So now when we put this within our print function, print open and then close, it will print this command, and this command basically subtracts 100 of our $1,000. Let's save the script and see if it works or not. And again, you can see down here it says 900 and it has been subtracted. Okay, now that was pretty easy. So that's what functions do. Now it gets a lot more interesting from here because Unity has some predefined functions for us that we can use, and the Unity engine already calls those functions, and some of them even a couple million times a second, and we can use those to make our characters move around. So let's continue on and learn more about the predefined words within Unity.